Hi guys, I'm here at YVR offices today. I'm doing an interview with a YVR employee. I'm so excited. Hi, Mr. Curry. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today at the YVR office. My name is Jayce, and I'm working on a Canada Heritage Fair project about YVR. At first, I mostly knew YVR as the place where my mom works, but while researching for my project, I learned a lot about its fascinating history and how it connects to Canadian values and culture. I'm really excited to learn more from your experiences working at YVR, and I'm looking forward to asking you a few questions today.
Well, Jayce, thank you for taking the time to interview me and give me the opportunity to give you all of the oversight on the questions you have about YVR, and I'll do my very best to share that knowledge with you.
I understand that you work at YVR as an operations specialist. Could you please tell me more about your role?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, as an operations specialist, Jayce, my roles and responsibilities fall to look after terminal readiness. We do a lot of planning in the terminal for a lot of different variety of events. We have to prepare for summer and winter readiness as well. And a lot of my role is behind the scenes making sure that our staffing models are reflecting what our passenger volumes will be in the terminal, just to make sure that we always provide a great guest experience. As you know, we have FIFA coming up, the World Cup's coming up. So lately my involvement has been focused on FIFA readiness.
Um, so how does YVR prepare for the massive influxes like FIFA?
So we've had some experience in the 2010 Winter Olympics. Back then, when I was working at the airport, we had built a new infrastructure to accommodate the increased volumes that we were going to anticipate that will be coming through the terminal. And we ran a lot of simulations as well in the process. For FIFA World Cup readiness, it's a little bit different. We have an understanding that we are going to see very high passenger volumes. A lot of people are going to be traveling for the World Cup games. And so what my role really is, and what our team's role is, to really help support that journey, the guest experience journey. And we do that by looking at our modeling for our staffing throughout the terminal. Where's all of those key touch points for people that are going to be coming through and will need a helping hand to get to where they need to. And so for this World Cup specifically, it's not one department, but it's all YVR, including our internal partners and external partners that are part of this journey with us to make World Cup a success.
So what originally inspired you to work here?
It's a long story, Jayce, but basically my father was a huge aviation enthusiast. Growing up, we would sit and watch airplanes just by the edge of the runway. And one of my fond memories was watching big airplanes come every Saturday. And this is something that my dad and I did. And honestly, we probably would do it even till today. And I think that's kind of what inspired me to really look at airport as a career option for me, but also something that brings a little bit of that nostalgia, something that I really enjoyed, spending time with my family doing that.
That's interesting. So what are some of the key terminal programs currently active at YVR?
So we have a number of terminal programs that are activated at YVR to support the guest experience. We have programs that we are overseeing right now out on the runway as well, modernization projects that are happening to make sure that we are able to accommodate the traffic as well as our cargo. And in terms of the terminal, we also have accessibility programs as well that we want to make sure that we're an inclusive airport, an airport that welcomes millions of passengers from around the world. We want to make sure that we have every aspect of the terminal and our airside looked at to have a good and pleasant journey for everyone that comes through.
What are some of the accessibility features that YVR has?
So in terms of accessibility, we have a ton of support that we've started to provide, not only in the curbside areas, but also inside the terminal. We partner up with a lot of different accessibility partners. To name a few, the Canadian National Institute of the Blind, Canucks Autism Network. A lot of these partners give us information that helps us set their journey up for success. So if you've ever been through the terminal, you'll see the Sunflower Lanyard. This is a Sunflower Lanyard program that was introduced to help support accessibility. So whoever wears a Sunflower Lanyard, which can be picked up at any of our information counters, it allows other internal partners and screening security officers to know that there is a disability of some sort that this individual has. And so we do a little bit of extra care and attention. So that's just a couple, but there's so many more that we're working on, and we're always looking to innovate here.
That's fascinating. So what technology does YVR utilize to improve efficiency across the terminal?
Lots of different technology solutions are always being looked at. One I'll talk about, it's a little bit high level, but I'll do my very best to explain it, is our digital twin. So digital twin essentially allows us in real time to see our passenger volumes in the terminal, how much time it takes for those folks to get through our screening, or even the Canada Customs Hall, how long it takes for people to come as they arrive into the Customs Hall. So a lot of these technology solutions that we have help support our staffing models that we have. And that's one technology piece that we have that does a lot more functions than I've described it. Another technology is our screening equipment. So we've, in the last year, a couple of years actually, we've started to upgrade our screening equipment to the new CATSA machines. And these machines process bags and passengers faster. They also allow you to keep your liquids and other items inside your bags. So essentially what that allows you to do is that it makes it so that you have a more seamless process as you're going through. So again, for us, we want to make sure we get people from the start of their journey right to the gate that they need to do that. And we do that through solutions like that.
What is YVR's role in bridging Canada with the rest of the world?
So we play a key role as to support the economy and obviously the community that we serve. It's important that we are always looking at solutions in terms of how do we connect people with the world. And so looking at partnering up with different airlines to explore routes, looking at routes that maybe haven't been looked at before that we can use for cargo operations as well. So it's not just the passenger journey that we look at the cargo as well. And cargo has food, and other perishable items that go through to different countries as well. And so we want to be an economic generator for British Columbia. And so having both our passenger journey as well as our cargo journey is critical to our success. And that success supports British Columbia.
What are the main plans YVR has to achieve its net zero 2030 goals?
So a lot of these plans have started to come to fruition already. We have a really ambitious goal of 2030, being carbon neutral. And we're one of the first airports in Canada to be able to do this. And so what we've started to do is we've looked at all of our vehicle fleets that you see outside, and we've started to convert them into electric vehicles. And the ones that we can't convert them into electric vehicles, we're looking at renewable energy sources. So a different type of fuel that doesn't harm the environment and still meets our obligations to being carbon neutral. And a lot of the things that you see in the terminal as well, we're looking at our infrastructure, any projects that we're doing, how can we do it safely? How can we be more efficient with our lighting or the materials that we're using? And so all of those two things are important for us to support the goal, to reach that goal for 2030 to be carbon neutral.
Are there any other like systems or things that contribute to the 2030 goal?
Digital twin, as I already mentioned, supports one aspect of the passenger journey that I was explaining, but digital twin also allows us to understand our efficiencies of our systems. So everything from HVAC to a lot of the systems that we have that run our boilers and so on. Digital twin will be able to give us firsthand information of the life cycle, how efficient these things are, and when do they have to get replaced. And so the technology solutions like digital twin serve a multi-purpose role for us and will help us support our initiative for 2030.
How does YVR give back to the local community?
So giving back from a personal standpoint is really important to me. I volunteer a lot in the community, and I'm really happy that YVR has a program where they're giving back to the community as well. And there's a lot of different programs, but we have a YVR Take Care program that works with local charities in and around British Columbia. We also support different causes as well, and employees are encouraged to be part of those events. So employees are also encouraged to volunteer our time. We have a program through Benevity as well, so any time we volunteer, we can convert our volunteer hours to dollars, and those dollars can then be donated to a charity of our choice. And so that's one way where we partner up, but we also work with our accessibility partners as well. And we support their journey through the airport. And so the Take Care brand itself not only focuses on our community, but also our accessibility partners and anybody that's a newcomer or is settling in Canada as well. So a ton of initiatives, and I'm really happy to be part of those initiatives at YVR.
Thank you, Mr. Peary, for your time and letting me interview you.
Well, Jayce, it's been a pleasure to be part of this interview. Thank you again for your time and for considering me to be part of this interview process. I wish you the very best on your project.
Hi, Mr. Guerin. It's very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today at YVR.
It's my absolute pleasure.
My name is Jayce, and I'm working on a Canada Heritage Fair project about YVR. At first, I mostly knew YVR as the place where my mom works. But while researching for my project, I've learned a lot about its history and how it reflects Canadian values, including respect for Indigenous cultures and the land where the airport is located. Since you work on Indigenous relations at YVR, I'm really excited to learn more about how the airport works with Indigenous communities and shares their culture with visitors. I'm looking forward to asking you a few questions today.
I'd be happy to give you the best answers I can.
Could you please tell me more about your role at YVR as the Manager of Indigenous Relations?
Yeah. So at YVR, we've signed a 30-year agreement with the Musqueam Indian Band, who is not only the local First Nation, but were the people who tended and stewarded these lands for many thousands of years. So the need for having strong Indigenous relations between the airport and the local First Nation, which is the Musqueam people, especially in this time of history, is more important than it ever has been. So my role is to make sure that those relationships not only connect, but foster and build into something that will outlast my being here too as well.
Can you tell me what is why is the sustainability and friendship agreement with Musqueam so significant?
It was actually, not only is it significant, it is one of the first of its kind to have a large authority, so like a port authority or a port authority, actually approach and work with their local First Nation to sign an agreement on how are we going to look after this land together. Basically like having two families who look after the same house. So they wrote down, okay, here's how we're going to live with that. And we always kind of tongue-in-cheek call it the first 30 years, this agreement, because we intend for it to be, this is just how we're going to live together. So it provides economic opportunity for Musqueam people who were removed from the airport lands in the first place. It also provides avenues for Musqueam voices who have, as I said, steward these lands for thousands of years to actually be right front and center at the table to work as two families who look after this land.
Wow, fascinating. What originally inspired you to work here?
Well, I worked for about 30 years, close to 30 years as a fishery officer in this area. And I spent a lot of time writing tickets. And I found out that if I do a little bit of education, a little bit of teaching, a little bit of perspective, people learn from that more than they do just receiving a ticket. And that sort of set me on a course of I want to teach more about what Indigenous relations can look like. Two people, two groups of people wanting to work together. And because of that, I started looking at other places that are doing it and are actually living it. And YVR, in my opinion, is one of the lighthouses of what that actually should look like. It started with the Friendship and Sustainability Agreement, but it's because it's a lived piece of what we do every single day here. It's not about the things that sometimes people are afraid of. They actually see us living as two families working together.
Cool. How does YVR collaborate with the Indigenous community?
Well, for Musqueam, in the first place, through our 30-year agreement, we've done many great things. One thing is prior to the 2020 COVID, the pandemic, Musqueam had close to 90 people who were working in the airport authority, and with the rest of our partners. So that sense of place, returning Indigenous people to the ones who are actually welcoming people to these lands, Musqueam people. As well as if you take a look around, we have so much art that's throughout the airport. And that's a really good representation of not only Musqueam people, so you'll see our house posts, but other Indigenous people from other parts of British Columbia as well.
So, how does YVR demonstrate respect for Indigenous culture within its spaces?
Well, one of the, I'll say, two real cornerstones of that respect that's being shown outside of the work that we've done with Musqueam through our agreement. For the passengers, the things that they see when they come in is Musqueam house posts, Musqueam beautiful art like the flight Spindle Whirl. That's above where all the international travelers come in, as well as language. If you look at Musqueam or in YVR, they say, welcome, bienvenue, and then underneath it, Amit Sep Quitwheelan, which is the Musqueam language, the Hunkaminam language, and it says, all of you are welcome here. So those are huge pieces of recognizing the people who were here, their responsibility in looking after our guests, and how do we do it together. As well as even in our strategies, reconciliation is one of those key things that we look at as a lens of how we do things day to day. So that's right in our governance here in YVR.
Speaking of the YVR art installations, can you explain the meaning behind some of the key Indigenous art installations around the airport?
Yeah. I'd be happy to speak about the Musqueam specific ones. And that goes to a teaching of other people can speak about their arts. But what I can say is um, the number of pieces of Northwest Coast Indigenous art in YVR is probably surpasses many museums around the world. In fact, quite a few even local museums do not have the amount of Northwest Coast Indigenous art that YVR has. That's an amazing piece. But when you travel around YVR, and as I said, you'll see a spindle whorl, which, much like we have above us here in that picture, is a symbol of transformation in Musqueam, as well as being a very functional piece. And of course, we have the largest spindle whorl flight by Susan Point, who's a Musqueam member. There's also a matching set of house posts that are down the bottom. So Musqueam are not people who have totem poles. We're not from the totem pole families. We have house posts. But those house posts speak of ancestors and their teachings and how they hold your house up, reminding you every day of who you are. And especially when you're coming in, it lets other people know we're here. We're here to welcome you. Welcome to Musqueam. Welcome to Vancouver. Welcome to YVR.
So can you explain the meaning behind the jade canoe in the center of the airport?
Yeah, only a little bit. And the reason why is the jade canoe is actually a piece of Haida art. So the Haida art actually comes from up north. So although it has many different meanings of passengers and people that are coming through, especially how we all come together, it's actually from a very different part of British Columbia than here. And it was actually a part of a conversation of how art being chosen by other people rather than the local people can sometimes almost look a little disrespectful. But what we've done since is have now two families who work together, Musqueam and YVR, to make sure that we do things right the first time.
Why is it vital for visitors to learn about Musqueam territory upon arrival to YVR?
It's so that's a really good question, and it's because the continued removal of Musqueam people from a land that they've always looked after is something that will stop reconciliation from ever happening. So telling the story of the people whose lands who were stewarding the lands, looking after the lands prior to contact is so very important. And I'll give you a good example. My great-great-granduncle actually used to have a house right where we are sitting, you and I today. This exact spot on the map is where his longhouse was, and that was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So these are stories and parts of our history that don't just belong to Musqueam people, but to all Canadians. So when they land, they understand that there are people who have been here for a very long time who are very happy to welcome them as they land. These shores saw people come from all over North America to come and visit Musqueam people to share in the abundance of salmon that we had here. And we're happy to welcome everyone who comes through these doors and say the same thing. And mead sequit wheeling. So it's good to understand who your host is.
It's what a coincidence. So, Mr. Gurin, thank you for your time today. I've learned a lot on Indigenous culture and how YVR collaborates with the Musqueam community and establishes great relationships. Thank you.
It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Hi, Chica.